Open your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. Hi, sifuboggie here, and welcome back again to the way of conscious mindfulness. So, before we begin, firstly, what's this show all about, and who the heck am I? So, my name is sifuboggie. Sifu means guide, muse, somebody who points you along your way, who guides you on your path. And for the last 37 years, I have been studying the Taoist arts such as Tai Chi, Qigong, Theta, Tuina, Chinese massage, Shun Qi Shen, Reiki, many other Eastern and Taoist techniques under the umbrellas of or schools of the Barefoot Doctor and also the Mighty Dragon Dog Shaman. And just like my Sifus before me, my aim, my goal is to help healers, light workers and coaches especially, but anybody who wants to learn, I help supercharge them and allow them and to ensure that they never burn out. So the whole point of my name, Sifu, guide or muse, and boggie, the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. So that's who I am. So what's this show all about? Well, this show is called The Way of Conscious Mindfulness. So it is a regular Facebook Live and podcast show discussing spirituality and science, balancing health and well-being with mind, body and spirit with a Taoist twist. What does the Tao mean? The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. Now, surprise, surprise, this is not a normal show. Anything with me in it is not normal. Each week, each show, we have a subject or a guest. And tonight we have a very interesting, definitely a guest of my own heart, my interest, or at least the subjects are. And our aim, our goal is to have an open topic, an open discussion, finding out new techniques, new skills, new ways to balance our very own personal way, path, or Tao. So, without further ado, and just a couple of clicks, I will bring on the mighty gentleman himself. So, good evening, Aage. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I just don't know any other way to do it.
I like that, and that's a great thing to do. I would say it's a great thing to do indeed. So, everybody's out there. If you've got any questions, if you want to comment, there's a few people coming in now. I can see popping up, and I'm very quickly going to start a Facebook watch party as well, just to get it out there a little bit more. So guys, Care Bear Share, as I always say, if you know somebody who may be interested in this, then please let them know, bring that information out there. Apparently I can't do that. So yeah, please bring it out. Please let other people know. If you've got any comments, please comment below, and we'll get on with the show. So Aage, this is your show. Now I have a question that I ask all my guests, and it's a very simple question of sorts. Some people think it's a bit complicated, but it's a quite simple question, and that question is: so this is your show. This is the way of Aage Nost. So Aage, what is your way? What is your personal Tao?
Well, to understand that, I guess that should translate to what am I about? Would it not?
It can do. It's your way is your way is whatever it is. I mean, your way is what you're about. Your way is your mission. What's your mission here? What's your goal?
Yeah, and I think that I'm going to answer that in a little different way, because what we are about sometimes when we come down to this ball of mud called Earth, take on this bodysuit and just walk around in it for a while, we may have forgotten what and why we came here for a while. But we usually come around to something, at least in the proximity of why we came. And I've been a hypnotist for a very long time, and I've gone back and I found out what the agreement was for me to come here and do. And it had to do with communication and unity under freedom. And that is something that when I came here, I forgot. I was playing the business game for decades. Did well with it, and but I burned out, so I started doing other things, and that's when I got funneled into this mission of what I should be doing. Because I started doing radio shows about 5 years ago, and I've done a lot of TV shows and communication and unify. I researched a lot and helped people in many different ways. So I think finally I'm getting back to why I came here, for education and unify people.
Cool.
That's
awesome, man. Right.
That's
Was there any more?
The best I can say.
Okay, cool. And for you, so what does that entail? What does the unify and education of people, what does that entail for you? Yeah.
Well, I do 2 TV shows right now, and radio shows, and we're finding that people find us. We are looking for people who is looking for us, and they find us. And there are, as you can see in politics these days, there's so much division, and it's been fueled by the people behind the curtain. And they're doing a really good job at it. But we're doing as much as we can, not in politics so much, because that's just a mess. But there is, within consciousness, people can unify and they can outthink the situation, even though they may not be able to outfight it.
I love that. Yeah, and that's what it's all about, you know, the people behind the scenes. Yeah, there does seem to be, you know, when you look in media and whatnot, there do seem to be people who seem to want to keep us running around in circles. A British terminology, like a headless chicken. You know, it's, you know, running around and around and not knowing. And you know, there's a lot of focus on this or that, or the other. You know, or fear, or terrorism, or bird flu, of cat flu, of banana flu, whatever, you know, whatever's next, you know, there's always something new, you know, and if it isn't that, you know, it's trying to get people to focus on fashion or what the Kardashians are up to or whoever, and it's interesting that, or at least from the point of view of my teacher, my sifus worked within they worked within certain circles, and they worked with diplomats and different agencies, and the interesting thing I found, like, for example, like the spiritual stuff, like people say, oh, I don't believe in empaths or psychics or this or that, and it's like, I know for a fact, because I helped train them and I helped look after them, I know for a fact that in the FT 500 index businesses, there were people who trained up, and there were companies that used empaths, psychics, remote viewers, you use different forms of healers, use people what were called chargers that would increase people's energy within a room. You sit them in a room and they build up the energy in the room so people felt more excited or had more focus to do. And those people existed. You know, I know for a fact that both military and police have used the same sort of people, remote viewers, psychics, for over 40 years, 50 years. Yeah. I know that for a fact because I my teachers taught those sort of people. My teachers employed those sort of people. So there's lots of stuff that we're sort of, in one hand, we're being told, oh, that's rubbish, or don't believe in that, or, that's nonsense. And in the other hand, that's being used as a serious, legit thing, is that in business, businesses only use what works. And that's the thing. And so there's this interesting thing where, we're being thrown one sort of agenda or one sort of thing to focus on, where the truth is a lot different.
Well, we got to remember too that when you talked about the different agencies and the police department and so on, they are not public servants. They are employees of corporations. If you look at, I'm living here in Tucson, Arizona. If you look at Tucson Police Department, go to Dun and Bradstreet and look them up, and they are registered to do business as a police department. It's a corporation. So this is not something for the people. It is just a business. And that's why you're getting so many traffic tickets out there. I know you got them in England too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, again, but see, in England, is like the traffic tickets are not run by the police. It's technically actually run by the council, the government. But that's another thing. There's all this. Things are never clear. Things are done in a certain way, and people go, "Oh, blame this." And so, well, actually, that's got no connection to that. It's like in the UK, we were once a police force. We are now a police service. Is they use the term police service, and the service, services. That means you're providing something for people, and then that has, that has marketing that has statistics.
Yeah.
Where originally a police force they deal with crime, they deal with, and so when you look at stuff, things are. The wordings are very important. I used to be a baker and a chef, and something saying baked, something baked in the store doesn't mean it's made in the store, because you can bake it, but it could be part baked. It could be something brought in, and wordings are very important. And we sort of forget this, is that there's a whole lot of information that how people say things and what they say can always be different, and normally is quite, when it comes to government, is quite different, at least.
Yeah, and that's why we are being saying over we're treated like mushrooms. You keep it in a dark place and feed you manure, and I think this is something that is a global problem, but it has turned into a problem. But this problem cannot be solved by just brute force alone, but we can outthink it. And that is what is happening now globally on this scale that I don't think has ever happened before. There was a kind of like an opening to this in Europe in the 1920s and the 30s, more spirituality, and of course that went away after that. But here I can see it. I can talk to people now about things that 20 years ago they would have absolutely just laughed me right out of town. Now they're open to it, because I don't know if they have studied or if they have talked to others, but there is a raising of the vibration among the people. And we also see that there is knowledge, there is information, there's wisdom coming down the pike through some of the people that is stepping up front and taking advantage of actually being leaders. And they're leaders. They're not just bosses, because leaders create more leaders. Bosses, they create employees. So, you just stay out there and lead by your actions. And that is why everything in the United States is about the money when it comes to government. There's two things, and that's either power or money, and not necessarily in that order. But we are not told the truth about a lot of things. I used to have a saying that I used on TV, and that was, show me one thing that you can do in the United States, or that the government tells you that is not a lie or even attached to a lie. And people had problems finding things. And now I discovered this. I got to tell you, because it is so good. I discovered something 2 years ago that I know a lot of people is interested in knowing about, and that is the fact that in 2009, 3 doctors got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that reverses the aging process. And nobody told the people. This should have been the absolute biggest health news this millennia. But nobody knows about it. All people have to do is to go to the Nobel Committee's website, go to 2009, scroll down to medical submissions, and read the papers. They find out, yes, there is an enzyme that actually will reverse the aging process, and there's a process for that. In fact, science has found why we age and eventually die. And that is that at the end of the chromosomes inside the cell, there is a little bit, there's a little thing there that is called the telomeres. And this is kind of like the end of a shoelace, but every time the cell duplicates itself, this little end, the telomere, gets shorter. Next time the cell duplicates itself, it gets shorter again, to the point where, and when they had replicated itself, 10, 15, 20 times, however many times that the cell replicated itself, then the telomeres has gone away, and the end of the chromosome start fraying out, and the cell is no longer able to replicate itself. So now you get stuck with old cells in the body, and guess what? The more old cells you have, the more wrinkles you get, the older you get, and you will die. That is why we die. You can take vitamin C and you can do all the other stuff. Yeah, it'll help, but as long as the telomeres get shorter, you're doomed. Now, there is a way. In those papers you will find at the Nobel Committee's website, is somewhere in there, I read that it says that one of the doctors says, if the body has enough of this enzyme called telomerase, there is no reason why anyone will have to die from old age anymore. Now, that is a powerful statement from a doctor. And you know enough about being over there, you know enough about the Nobel Committee to know that if there was any errors in it, they wouldn't get the prize.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody gets prizes from the Nobel Committee for something that has a fault. It doesn't, and that's not the, that's actually just one. There are lots of Nobel prizes that disappeared under the thing because they got it and it's like, oh no, well, that's gone to private industry. I know because there's a medical profession. In the medical profession, there was information came out around about 30 years ago now that was saying, originally they said that there was strong indication that the body should be living healthily for 900 years. Then straight away, within a couple of weeks, that information, it got knocked down to 140, and it still got 140 years, because 900 years, as I mentioned, actually literally just another show, 900 years comes up a lot in the Bible. Is that I've forgotten his name again. Noah's grandfather.
Yeah, Methuselah was one of them.
Yeah. Well, no, that was his father, was it? I think. No, it's the book of Enoch. Yeah. So Enoch was, and there's a couple of others who were set to live to 900 years, and in the Hindu text as well, 900 years. Well, they go to thousands as well, but 900 years is a thing of certain people easily lost in 900 years, and that came up, and then they suppressed that. And there's the whole thing with Bruce Lipton. go into Bruce Lipton's information about the whole thing with epigenetics and our emotions. You calm your emotions down. If you're constantly living in fear and constantly living in fear or anger and fight or flight, in the fight or flight natural instinctive mode of the body, your body's using a hell of a lot of energy and is burning itself out really, really quickly.
Yeah.
You turn that off, you take your body out of fight and flight mode, and suddenly you have lots more energy and your body starts to repair itself as it's supposed to. And there's lots of information on that. I knew guys who were doing clegonic irrigation back in the 80s and 90s that had people who did meditation, people who didn't do meditation. Everything else was pretty much the same. And when they did clegonic irrigation on both sets, the ones who had meditation had far less, let's call it gunk, in their body to clear out.
Yeah.
Because the body was actually drawing the nutrients out as it should and repelling stuff more properly because their body wasn't lacking the energy to be able to do that. The tension, the worry, the stress in your body is firstly draining the energy so your body can't be proficient, can't do what it's meant to. And also the whole thing about the telomerase is that they're also showing that chemical is actually produced naturally in the body when there is less stress, when the adrenals aren't pumping adrenaline into your body all the time because of the fight or flight. Your body naturally produces the correct chemicals that actually allow you to live either, as you say, medically they're saying without saying the word indefinitely, they're saying indefinitely, or at least you should be living at least a couple of 100 years as a healthy person, not bent over, not weak and frail, as a healthy person.
The thing also is that when it comes to becoming old, we're really talking theoretically. We are talking right now about immortality. But I am not so sure that is actually possible, because sooner or later, you're going to stick in front of a bus, and then all bets are off. And then again, you think you could handle another 246 years, at this present job. So this becomes a concept that is not really workable in our situation. But there are people that is doing this. I am doing this process, and it's very simple. When the pharmaceutical companies found out about this, they actually went and created a product. It's called TA65. And from what I hear is that it's got some side effects and it really doesn't work very well. But I am doing the same process as a guy that I found in China. His name was Ling Shi Yuan. And he died from an accident at the age of 256. And the government verified his age at least 2 instances that I found. Now, he was an herbalist, and he was a martial art teacher for the army in China, as long as anybody alive would know. And I wrote a book, and that book is Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. And in there, I explain what I do with the different herbs and so on. And it seems to work for me, because I can see some of the, the wrinkles and stuff are going away. I'm 73 years old, and I work 12, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have more energy than anybody I know.
What are you, so this, is it a medicine you're saying you're taking that he created?
It's not medicine. These are herbals.
Well,
yeah.
In China, that is medicine, but okay.
There you go.
Herbals, but because his name is actually the name of a mushroom as well. I'm not sure if there is a mushroom called lingji. Lingji is actually a mushroom which it's got lots of it's a very powerful mushroom and very good for cleaning out the body. I've taken it before. Happily take it again, actually. But so is it that one, or is it something as well as something else?
Now, that is one of the things that he was taking.
Yeah.
And the others, astragalus is one. That is probably one of the most important ones, because when you take astragalus in the higher doses, they proved on humans that it lengthened, not stopped, but it actually lengthened the telomeres at the end of the chromosomes. So now we got a way actually to take care of ourselves and however long we want to live. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to live forever, but I want to live as long as I have something productive to do. And if I ever say, okay, I'm done with this place, then it's going to be my decision.
Well, see, the interesting thing, like I say, my teachers were very much into this. So the whole thing in China, in Taoism, you have internal alchemy, which would be what I do: qigong, neigong, shengong, so meditation, stretching, energy exercises. Then you have external alchemy, which would be the Chinese medicine. Let's use that word, or the medicinals, the herbal and medicinal things. So originally, when my seafood was about, especially when I was to China, I'd be on garlic cleanses, and then I'd be then having certain tinctures, and Lingzi was used a lot. With so the whole point is, I think my understanding is that the certain medicinals, they will help the telomeres, and then the whole point of the qigong, what the qigong and neigong, the Shundao techniques or the dragon dog techniques, what that does is keeps you that fitness and healthy. So because my teacher looked like, so I'm 49. Most people don't think I look 49. I'm 49 years old. My teacher, apart from being Chinese, my teacher still looked like this at 80 years old. He still looked like this at 100. He didn't start actually looking old, until like the last time I saw him was 106. And it was the same with his brother, who was 2 years younger. He also died at 106, or at least, as far as I know, they died at 106. I stopped seeing them, but they talk about lots of people who, 120 easy is not an issue. And in the Taoist culture, 250 years is said to be what the life of somebody who's practicing the true way, the true Tao. But their culture is different. So you're talking about they spend more time a little bit in the cities and go off into the mountains quite a lot. They have a very set diet. They do lots of qigong, or lots of particular exercise, lots of particular meditation. It is said they should live to 250 years, without a problem.
I see we have a question here from Krista, and she asked, how do we naturally create more telomerase? And we got to remember, the body that we are walking around in is a self-correcting machine. It will replenish itself and correct itself if we give it everything it needs. It's just that we've never been told what it needs. We've been told to eat margarine. That creates more heart attacks than anything in the world. So when we get beyond the lies, we got to get to some of the places that you talk about in order to find the truth. And so now, when we take the astragalus and the Chinese immortality herb and the several others that I got listed in the book, when you take those things, the body will produce the telomerase on its own. And of course, it also, it's needless to say that you've got to get on natural foods, probably more so raw natural foods, because what happens when you cook your food? You kill it, right? Have you ever seen a monkey running through the treetops with a hibachi on his back? No, they don't cook the food. We do, and it's actually no good for us. Because when you cook the food, you kill all the enzymes in the food, and enzymes are so important for the body. And I said that being a hypocrite because once in a while I cook the food too. But it is, the majority of we eat should be raw natural foods. as well as taking those herbals. And then, of course, meditation is the gateway for the average person that hasn't done much into higher consciousness. Because once you start going through that gate, it can lead you places. But now it is not your body and your brain that is in charge anymore. Now your mind is in charge. And that will lead you to places where you find some wonderful things out there.
Oh yeah, and again, both businesses, private industry, and the military. You know, they know very much about meditation. They know very much about this sort of stuff, far more than people realise. Because again, misdirection or information is not necessarily told or shown. Lynn, one of my students, she's saying, I'm going to be 61 next month, feel 25, Qigong and holistic health. So she's, so that's what she does. Garlic, yes, Krista, yeah, yes, great garlic purges, whole clove, so as in, the whole bulb, the whole bulb. I would, my seafoods would have me having about 6 of those for about 3 days in a row. And then that would clear everything out and anybody who's around normally. But the whole point is, again, garlic was there's loads of information that garlic can actually reduce greatly reduce the chances of cancer. But we then farmer like to manipulate it and make it into a liquid form, and it kills off a lot of the actual stuff. As you said, the whole enzyme thing. Enzymes are very important. One of the Taoist diets. The Taoist diet is very much that they don't necessarily say you can't cook food, but what they say is you should still keep a lot. It should be lightly cooked, lightly steamed, so it's still crunchy. There's still some that, because if for veg, for example, if you still have crunchiness, you still have enzymes. If it's soft, like my dad likes to cook everything so it's almost mushy, you've killed off all the enzymes. Everything's gone. And the thing with fruit and veg now that seems to last longer than it used to. The Taoist thing again. If it rots, it's got good chi. If it will break down and rot, then that's good chi. So that sort of food you want. But if your food is lasting longer and longer and longer, there's a price to that. There is a price for. They've done something to with that so it's all about finding food, that good healthy food with enzymes. That also in the Tao, one of the Taoist system I use, it's also about eating particular foods in certain ways. So you have lots of veg, but you shouldn't cross, say, tomatoes and meat and pasta. So spaghetti bolognese may be nice, but technically that's going to lay a lot on the stomach. But if you're improving your telomerase, if you know how to, you're rewiring your energy so it's going into actually breaking down your food and not, and rather than being focused on fight and flight. So the minimum amount of energy is being used for your food to be broken down in your stomach. If your body is working fully functional, then having spaghetti bolognese isn't a big deal because your body can do it. But you could have a chili, but instead of rice, have veg. There are always ways, there's ways of making food more adaptable or changing things up. Or you just have a salad with that and make sure that salad is nice and crunchy and fresh. And that's the enzymes that are going to help you break down the food. It's just understand. Go for it, sir.
And then we have this new medical science that is coming online right now called epigenetics. And that really is how you, with your thinking and your environment, can keep yourself healthy. And not just that, you can also heal yourself. And my co-host on the Universal Consciousness show, she was in a really bad way, but she healed herself just by thinking herself well. And what we're also finding out, that whatever we keep in our mind that is usually what we're going to have in our life. If we think about garbage all the time, oh, you better believe, bring the can up, because it's going to fill up the garbage can. Because if you think good things, and like Lynn says here, balance, I love it. If you have balance, that creates also spirit. Hey, there you go. And yeah. And now, that's the problem with religions. When the people that put the Genome Project together, they said there's 3 things that is fatal to you. And first of all, it's the wrong nutritional, that will kill you. And then the genetic disorder will kill you. And that's the one that causes the telomerase to shorten. And then they said one thing that upsets a lot of people, and that is that religion is a mental disease that will also kill you. Because every religion, just about, they have this belief that you're going to grow old and you're going to die. That was totally opposite. Like there was a university professor that came from China to New York back in the 1950s. He was an exchange program. He went out and had dinner with some of his colleagues one evening, and he got food poisoning and died. Now, he ended up at the morgue, and they went through his papers, and they called the ambassador from China and said, hey, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. This guy is 154 years old. That can't be right. And the ambassador said, well, yeah, he is. So they asked the ambassador, how can that be? And he said, well, first of all, he only ate Chinese herbs and berries. And he also knew he could never die. That pretty much explains it. What's in your mind is what you're going to have in your life. That guy looked like he was probably about 60.
Yeah, very much so. And as Lynn's saying, anybody who watches this show, I bring up this guy a lot. Bruce Lipton and Epigenetics. Yeah, he very much talks about your emotions, how your emotions feel, that your emotions really do run your body. And working on keeping that tension out of your body. And he does, he is a good promoter of Qigong. He also uses a system, I think it's called Psyche or Psych. And that's what Bruce Lipton uses, but he does also talk about Qigong as well. It's a good founder for, and in Qigong and Taoist circles, it is your tendons should be stretched. Your tendons can store emotional negativity, so stretching your tendons release that emotional emotional negativity or char. But keeping the muscles relaxed. So your tendons should be stretching. So you're stretching your body, aligning posture, your body, but also keeping your muscles relaxed allows the blood to flow, allows the chi to flow, allows the oxygen to flow, allows things to keep flowing and working. Yeah. And the whole thing of, like, say, Tai Chi and Qigong is this thing of sensitivity, what they call Shaoshu, pushing hands, and sensitivity training is actually about listening to your body, is learning. Because what I was taught, and when I say this in the West, I'd be interested. I think I already know your reaction, but when I say this to a lot of Westerners, they get like really shocked. Like, what you're talking about is that my teachers very much taught you should be able to feel your organs. You should be able to feel, your heart, your liver, what it's doing. You should be able to feel your internal organs and feel what they're like. Because the idea is that, yes, subconsciously the body automatically runs itself. But that's like a car in cruise control. It's just, it's just plodding along. The whole idea is our bodies can actually be accessed by ourselves, and we can make it work more efficiently. We can make it work more better, rather than it's in default mode, and the default mode under stress means it will only go so far, it'll only last so long, and that's why people are only living as long as they are. When you deactivate that mode and take it over and learn to work with it, and then work with herbs and work with food and everything else on top of that, you can there is no limit to how long you want to live. And I love how, like you say, it's like, I don't want to live forever, but I'm happy, I want to live to this age. And yeah, that's the point. You get to choose. I mean, obviously, you get run over by a bus, then, or or a plane hits you on the head, or you get eaten by Bigfoot. There are a few things that you might not be able to control, but if you're living a standard life, if you avoid all those things, like you've said with the gentleman, because I know that story before, is that up to 100, up to a certain point in time, he was living perfectly fine. Then he comes to America, and he gets food poisoned. Things happen, but the whole point is that you have far more control over your life and over your abilities that we are told, and that you believe. There is far, I always I like using the shocker, like, you are your own god or goddess. I'm not saying that, that being your own god or goddess means that there aren't rules or regulations, but you can you can control things far more than you're told, and you can be far more healthier than you're told, and you can have far more abundance than you're told. And when we come together all with that same mindset, as the FBI know, when lots of people come together with the same mindset, big things happen, big things change. I already mentioned it in the show, so I'll say it very quickly in the last show. But, one of the tests that the FBI did back in 2000 was 2,000 people in the state of Washington State, I should say, the right way around. 2,000 people for one weekend, focusing on peace and love. They dropped the crime rate by 25%. There's another one that says they then did one with 7,000 people over a week for the whole world, and they dropped the crime and terrorist rate by 70%. So information's out there. We are far more powerful than we're led to believe.
Mind is very powerful, and most people have been told that you cannot control your future. Whatever happens out there, it's going to happen. Well, maybe we have more control of the future than we think, because look at quantum mechanics. We have proven that we live in a mind-created universe, and that mind-created universe is controlled through us as an individualized spark of light from the universal source. Now, if we can control our future, how would we go about doing that? Well, it's really very simple. If we don't know what we want in the future, how can the universe tell us or do anything for us? We have to decide what we want. And this is one of the things that I'm teaching in the book, and it really goes into detail on how to do. We can actually design our future the way we like it to be before we have to live it. And what we do, we decide what we want and how we want it. Or let's say you want a new home and you have no idea how that can happen. Let's say right now you're unemployed, it doesn't matter, but you want a new home. You take that and you design it in your mind the way you want it to be. How many rooms, what color paint, and everything around that thing, you design it the way you want it to be. Place it in the future at a time-coded event. Calendars are worthless outside of the physical. So it's got to be a time-coded event, like maybe a Christmas party, a birthday party or something like that, maybe a year or so away. And then every day you go back and forth to that thing that you created. It doesn't have to be a house, it could be anything. But go back and forth every day and visit it. Put more detail into it. Put emotion into it. Put intention into it. Put love into it. Colorful images. And put other people in there enjoying it with you. So now you have emotion and feeling, and you have the spiritual language embedded in that thing in the future that you want. Go back every day, and when you do go back and forth, you lay down attractor strings to it. These strings are actually tiny strings of light going from where you are to that thing in the future. Because now, why do I say the future? In physically, it is in the future, but outside of the physical, the past, present, and future exist in this moment. So there is no distance between you and that thing in the future. And that is why you can walk into it when that Christmas party comes. You have already claimed it. It is yours, and you walk into it. Now you're still in the physical, so you're going to need to do whatever you can to help this thing happen. And actually, it happens faster. It can happen without that, but you don't want that house in the future just because your aunt had to die and will the money to you to buy the house for. You don't want that. You want to do whatever you can to create it also on your own without the expense of someone else. Does that make any sense?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, audience, does that make sense to you guys? I mean, to me, that's, this is what, because the whole thing of, things are both free will, or, there is both destiny, but also controlled fate, or controlled reality. Is that, yes, there are certain things that are set in a certain way, but there are things that can also happen. And yeah, as you said, Aage, is that, if you can I want to manifest $10,000, but how do you want to manifest that? Because the universe, $10,000. Okay, somebody dies and gives you $10,000. So do you want it that way, or do you want it? The more you control it. There's a Taoist thing of, if you set an intention in place and you leave it open, any possibility can happen. But if you can shape and mold that to a certain degree. You can allow it to happen in a certain way, or make sure it doesn't happen in a certain way. And it's the whole thing of, because this goes into like the main title really of the holographic self-aware universe, is that you had the information coming up recently, where you have the quantum physicists, especially, or the certain scientists that are saying that the evidence of the universe is showing that when they're going down into the particles, the fact that an atom is 99.999% empty space, but it's not actually empty space. It's something else, but that's another thing altogether. But they were saying about the holographic universe idea, that the universe is a holographic idea. But you've also got people, what's his name?
Well, there's a Russian scientist. There's a Russian, he found computer code in the universe. It says it is there, because there are sections in their formulas that show up that cannot be created without having intelligence behind it. So, and they didn't create it. So there's another thing that actually people can do, and I'm in the process, me and Norway, we're in the process of putting together a mastermind group. And this is something that we can do at many different levels. Families should do this. Groups, church groups, or whoever, associations should do this. And that's when the mastermind is when two or more minds are united in harmony. They create a third mind that has the potential mind power of the two or more of them multiplied by each other. So let's say you have a family of 5 people get together and you want something in common. Let's say, well, your car is on your last leg, you need a new one. So now you get to decide which car, what car, how big, and so on. How much do you want to pay for it? All these things can be rolled into a ball that you all agree on. And then you start programming the universe to bring it to you. Just like I said, when you place that thing at the Christmas party, you do this as a group. And now you're not just alone. You have a mastermind of other minds with you. Let's say you're 5 people, that gives you the mind power of 25 minds. If 1,000 people get together to do a mastermind group, now you have the mind power of 1,000,000 people. So friend me on Facebook, and I would love to see the listeners here you got a high vibration show here. I would love to see the listeners be part of this.
Yeah, 100%. Well, he would love to get you on this show again sometime in the future. B, I want you to promote your shows, because they'll be great to listen to as well for my viewers. And and guys, connect with Aage. Definitely, I think that would definitely be a good thing to do. And also, I mean, I'd love to come on your show at some point in the future, if possible.
Yeah.
So that'd be great as well. So yeah. Okay. So well, we've got just under 6 minutes left. That hour's already shot by. 8 minutes left. So what else do you want to say? What else?
Well, I would like to see how people can connect with me. I got 2 radio shows going, and one of them is the Universal Consciousness Show. We are on YouTube and also on the universal-consciousness-show.com. And the one that I'm having a lot of fun with is broadcastteamalpha.com. We're doing videos, and we interview some of the most brilliant minds around the world. So that's you can contact us there also, but friend me on Facebook. And I pretty much accept everybody except for the Russian girls that wants to get married.
Yes, I know all about them. So let me just so this is on the YouTube. So the Universal Consciousness Show, is that correct?
Correct.
And then what was the other one?
The Broadcast Team Alpha. I'm a bit of a slow writer, but I always get there in the end. And that will be coming up now. So, and are they both on YouTube, or where are they? Both on YouTube, but they also have websites for them also. So it'll show up when you Google it.
Okay, cool. So, guys, what I'll also do...
Yeah, broadcastteamalpha.com. That is the other one.
Okay, right. So I can quickly change that, alpha.com. That's not a problem, because that means I'm also doing it for us, putting it out there for everybody who wants to know. And I'd like to see that one myself. So paste alpha.com, copy that, and then I can stick it in the comments as well. Copy. So guys, so there's 2 ways you can find. Oh, that didn't work. There are 2 ways to find the show. So one of them is very quickly. So what one's that one about?
Broadcast Team Alpha. That is a trio of us. There's myself and Nori Love, and then Tom Schaefer, and we do videos. And we have a website there also, which we can put some stuff on, which we haven't really done a lot of posts otherwise than the videos, because that is our major focus.
Right.
And we're on YouTube also, so you can find us there. And of course, we're being all of us on Facebook and other places, so you can seek us out and friend us and have a look. So just like something.
Cool. And I'd be interested, because there's lots of different shows I watch, and I know YouTube is getting a little bit policey at the moment. And are you guys being affected by that at all, or?
Yeah, once in a while we get defunded on one of the shows, and then we challenge that, and they bring it back. So they can be reasonable, because it's not the guy sitting behind the curtain, just getting rid of everybody. Yeah. It's the algorithm that does it. And when you challenge it, then there's a person looking at it and say, "Oh yeah, that was incorrect." So they correct the problem. So they've been good with us so far.
Oh, good. That's good to know. So guys, have a look out on YouTube and on the website. So broadcastteamalpha.com, and also that's the same one. Also the Universal Consciousness Show. So look at that up as well. And then just find this man. Look him up. You can find him through me, or just look up Aage Nost. Just look him up. And, yep, as he says, as long as you're not a Russian girl looking for marriage, he'll accept you.
I'll send it your way.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll send it somewhere else. But yeah, thank you, Aage. Thank you very much. So, guys, well, Aage, I've enjoyed the show. I would actually, this is like part one, isn't it? I mean, what people don't know is that I asked Aage to send me a small bio, and his small bio, I had to cut 1/3. I only kept about 1/3 of it in because I couldn't fit it in all, because literally the post won't allow you to have more than so many words. This guy has done an awful lot. He's actually, he makes me look like I've been sitting on my butt for the last couple of years. This guy's very impressive. And that's coming from me. So I would definitely love to have you on the show again, Aage, sometime in the future, if that would interest you. And because there's so much stuff I think we could talk about, definitely.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and the mind, you'll never run out of stuff to talk about. Oh
yeah, that's very true. It is very true. So, Aage, don't you go anywhere. But for everybody else, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Do you have so the websites are those two sites, aren't they? You don't have your own personal website at all, or?
Oh. There you go. There's the book, Spiritual Science. Higher Conscious Thinking and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. The book teaches you how to use your mind in ways that you normally would think would be impossible.
Cool. And is it available on, what's the name, whatever it's called? I can't remember. Can you get it online?
Yes, you go to Amazon. You can find it there.
Yeah, cool, awesome. So, guys, you know what to do. I hope you enjoyed the show. We have another show next Friday. I can't remember who the guest is off the top of my head, but there is another show next Friday. I will promote it later. But Aage, I've loved this. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next one. For everybody else, yep, there's a couple. I've put the links down below for you to find Aage. And then finally, if you're interested in what I do, quite simply, just go to www.sifuboggie.com, where the Qigong, the online healing, the online Qigong classes, it's all there if you're interested. So that's it for now. Everybody else, hope you enjoyed the show. Until next time, Aage, don't go just yet, but everybody else, until next time, it's goodbye from the mighty Aage. It's goodbye for myself, Sifuboggie, and it's goodbye for the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, Mindful Consciousness. I forgot myself now which way it goes. But anyway, guys, conscious mindfulness. So, guys, take care. Bye for now. Love, chi, and shit.